Es pues lo mismo pasar por el proceso del psicoanálisis que trabajar en el laboratorio hasta conseguir encontrar la piedra filosofal. Una vez que te encuentras a ti mismo, te conviertes en una persona autorrealizada. Has encontrado una piedra filosofal y tanto metafórica como psicológicamente has logrado alcanzar el estado de trascendencia.
El misterio de la alquimia sigue intrigándonos y nos transporta a la ansiada búsqueda del oro, de Dios y de la vida eterna. Un sueño que todavía hoy es tan poderoso como lo fue a lo largo de los últimos 2000 años.
Can't help noticing that at home, for instance, you are quite different from what you appear to be in public. And people who don't know it stumble over it in the end. They deny that they are like that, but they are like that. They are it. And then you don't know, now, which is the real man? Is he the man as he is at home or in intimate relations? Or is he the man that appears in public? It is a question of Jekyll and Hyde. Often. It is such, occasionally there is such a difference that you would almost be able to speak of the double personality. And the more that is pronounced, the more people are neurotic. They get neurotic because they have two different ways. They contradict themselves all the time. And in as much as they are unconscious of themselves, they don't know it. They think they're all one. Everybody sees that they are two. And some know him only from one side, so others know him only from the other side. And then there are situations that clash, because the way you are creates certain situations with people in your relations, and these two situations don't chime in. They are just dissonances. But take a singer, yes, who is absolutely controlling his voice. Suddenly he can't sing. Or any other, take a man who writes fluently, suddenly he makes a ridiculous mistake. There his habit doesn't function. It may be, you know, that what the unconscious has to say is so disagreeable that one prefers not to listen. And in most cases, people would be probably less neurotic if they could admit the things. These things are always a bit difficult or disagreeable or inconvenient or something of the sort. So there is always a certain amount of repression. When in treatment, for instance, in the treatment of neurosis, you have to do with that personal unconscious for quite a while. And then only dreams come that show that the collective unconscious is touched upon. Yes. Now, as long as there is material of a personal nature, you have to deal with the personal unconscious. But when you get to, say, to a question, to a problem, which is no more merely personal, but also collective, you get collective dreams. system about it in therapy. In therapy, you treat the patient as he is in the present moment, irrespective of causes and such things. That is all more or less theoretical. There are cases who know just as much about their own neurosis as I know about it, in a way. In such cases, I can start right away with posing the problem. For instance, there is a case, a professor of philosophy, and he imagines that he has cancer. He shows me several dozen X-ray plates that prove that there is no cancer. And he says, of course I have no cancer, but nevertheless I'm afraid I could have one. You see, I have consulted so many surgeons and they all assure me there is none, and I know there is none, but I might have one, you see, and that's enough. Now, you see, such a case can stop from one moment to the other. He simply stops thinking such a foolish thing, you see. But that is exactly what he cannot do. You know it is nonsense, and why should you think it? Or what for should you think it? Well, and what is that power that makes you think such a thing? It's like a possession, you know. Exactly. It's like a demon in him that makes him think like that, in spite of the fact that he doesn't want it. You see, then we have the problem. That is the problem for an intellectual man. And then I say, now, you see, you don't know, you have no answer. I have no answer. Now what are we going to do? I say, now we must see what you dream. Because the dream is a manifestation of the unconscious side. Now you know the unconscious side. So I must explain to him that he has an unconscious, and that the dream is a manifestation of it, and if we succeed in analyzing the dream, we might get an idea about that power that makes him think like that. You see? In such a case, one can begin right away with the analysis of dreams. And in all cases that are a bit serious, mind you, this is not a simple case, this is a very serious and difficult case, in spite of the simplicity of the phenomenology, of the symptomatology. In all cases, after the preliminaries, as it were, history of the family, the whole medical anamnesis, etc., we come to that question. What is it in your unconscious that makes you wrong, that hinders you to think normally? And then we are there where we can begin with the observation of the unconscious. And then, day by day, one goes on by the data the unconscious produces. You see, we discuss the dream, and that gives a new surface to the whole problem. And he will have another dream, and the next dream gives again an answer, because the unconscious is in a compensatory relation to consciousness, and after a while we get the full picture. And if he has the full picture and has the necessary moral stamina, well, then he can be cured. But in the end, it is a moral question whether a man applies what he had learned or not. Just one typical archetypal form. It is what they call in alchemy the quadratura circuli, the square in the circle, or the circle in the square. And it is an age-old symbol that goes right back in the prehistory of man, and is all over the earth. And it either expresses the deity or the self. These two terms are psychologically very much related, which doesn't mean that I believe that God is a self or that the self is God. I make that statement that there is a psychological relation, and that can be, have plenty of evidence for it. And it is a very important archetype. It's the archetype of an inner order. It is always used in that sense, either to make the arrangement of the many aspects of the universe, a world scheme, or a scheme of our psyche. And it expresses the fact that there is a center and a periphery. And it tries to embrace the whole. It's a symbol of wholeness. So you see, in a moment where, say during a treatment, when there is great disorder and chaos in a man's mind, then this symbol can appear as in the form of a mandala in a dream, or when he makes imaginary fantastical drawings or something of the sort. There it spontaneously appears as a compensatory archetype, bringing order, showing the possibility of order.
Es pues lo mismo pasar por el proceso del psicoanálisis que trabajar en el laboratorio hasta conseguir encontrar la piedra filosofal. Una vez que te encuentras a ti mismo, te conviertes en una persona autorrealizada. Has encontrado una piedra filosofal, y tanto metafórica como psicológicamente, has logrado alcanzar el estado de trascendencia.
The man that appears in public, it is a question of Jekyll and Hyde. Often, it is such occasionally there is such a difference that you would almost be able to speak of the double personality. And the more that is pronounced, the more people are neurotic. They can't help noticing that at home, for instance, you are quite different from what you appear to be in public. And people who don't know it stumble over it in the end. They deny that they are like that, but they are like that. They are it. And then you don't know, now, which is the real man? Is he the man as he is at home, or in intimate neurotic? Because they have two different ways. They contradict themselves all the time. And in as much as they are unconscious of themselves, they don't know it. They think they're all one. Everybody sees that they are two. And some know him only from one side, so others know him only from the other side. And then there are situations that clash, because the way you
achieve transcendence.
El misterio de la alquimia sigue intrigándonos y nos transporta a la ansiada búsqueda del oro, de Dios y de la vida eterna. Un sueño que todavía hoy es tan poderoso como lo fue a lo largo de los últimos 2000 años.